Currently, we are on the campus of Texas Agriculture and Mechanical here in College Station, Texas. We're going to talk about the 1999 Bonfire Collapse that happened right behind me here, killed 12 people. Right ahead of me was the area where Texas A&M would hold their annual bonfire event. Their bonfire event, which started back in 1907 as simply a bonfire and conveniently a place where you could burn your own garbage, had all of a sudden became a meaningful event in rivalry of the University of Texas. So every year, Texas A&M would play football against the University of Texas, which is located in Austin, and that developed a pretty serious rivalry. So every year around Thanksgiving or so, students for generations upon generations would come to this annual event and they would start building this bonfire. Now, when it started, students were pilfering trees, lumber, anything that would burn from any and everywhere that they could find. There was even a time that they stole some trees from the University of Texas and brought them back to throw into the bonfire. And you would have similar stories of students from this school trying to get back at that school. You'd have several instances where they would try to prevent the bonfire from either lighting, or they would try to light it beforehand to ruin the excitement of lighting the bonfire. So what started as an annual event where a couple hundred students would come and help build this bonfire turned into thousands of students getting together and constructing this huge bonfire. I want to say back in the 60s, it broke the record for the largest bonfire in the world at that time. And basically, you would come out here, see the bonfire, and at the time they had this bonfire, it was such a huge thing that you could actually see the fire from about 20 to 30 miles around the city. And good luck being able to get a hotel room. Forget about it. They would be booked out completely 3 months ahead. So this was a huge impact, not only for the economy, but for school spirit as well. Now, originally, when they would build the bonfire, they would build it in a teepee style fashion. And then later, they changed it to a wedding cake style where different logs would be stacked, the base being larger, the second base being slightly smaller, so forth and so on, kind of like a wedding cake. And normally, to light this huge bonfire, they would use about 700 gallons of jet fuel. So this was an entire event that was, you had the College Station Bryan Fire Department usually at the scene during the burn. Before, when it was the teepee style, the burn would last for like 4, 5, 6 hours. But because of the design of the wedding cake, fashion, it would only last for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then by design, it would collapse upon itself. And then they would have the football game or what have you. So there was never really a way or an architectural blueprint of how to build the bonfire. It was basically told from one student to another, passing through basically from generation to generation. Now, there was a couple deaths associated with the bonfire. Back in 1955, a student was accidentally ran over and killed by a car. And back in 1981, when they were chopping down trees in an area, a tractor ran over a student who used to go to this school right here. His name was Wiley Keith Jopling. So typically, the gathering of the logs or the what have you would usually start around September. And it was pretty important to have every student involved in chopping down the trees, using their saws, cutting them down, stacking them, bringing them over here. It was a huge, huge, huge event. However, sadly, the event that we know it would be no more on November 18th of 1999. So it's about 2:45 in the morning, and there's students here, and they're stacking the logs and they're strapping them together. Basically, it was a couple of logs that were centered together, and then it was wrapped around a bunch of other logs secured with cable. And then they would place another section of logs, secure that with cable, and they would keep going up and up until it reached about 60 feet tall. Now, at that time, unbeknownst to the students who are working on top of the first and the second section of logs, one of the cables gave way and the whole thing collapsed onto the ground, killing 12 students. And by the time emergency personnel reached the scene, it was utter chaos right here where I'm standing. Each of these columns that you see in this area where I'm standing right now represents a small monument in dedication to the person who lost their life on that day. And also, other than the 12 that died, there was almost 30 people that were injured, including one of the kids who lost a leg in this tragedy. You had a lot of people's families tragically torn apart by this, ultimately an accident. And after that was done, after the collapse, they would stop doing the bonfire here for a couple years, and then ultimately that was it. They never had another bonfire on campus ever again. Now, they did bring it back a couple years later. It's known as student bonfire, slightly different than bonfire, but it's not nearly the tradition that it once was. I want to say about 15 miles off of campus is where they have it now, and they're only half the size of what they used to be. So this event was not only a crushing blow to the lives lost and the family members who had to bury their kids, but also this school took a major black eye, and it would be years before people's memories kind of forgot what happened. And now where I stand is where 12 people sadly lost their lives. And it just, that event, every time they do that event, is just, I would imagine people just kind of think about what happened here over 25 years ago.